Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'm going to come from, not the poison book, but I'm going to come from what's called the New Testament. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. How's that sound?
That's good.
Okay. I'm going to come from the New Testament. This biblical writing is a little small, but I'll do the best I can. This is from Revelation 18. Now, the book of Revelation says that it starts when I, John, was looked out over the circular horizon. And the way it sounds is that this guy, John, not the John 3:16, John, ain't John the Baptist, ain't nothing, but this is a John of a later century. And I believe that it's a study group, like a collection of people writing the book of Revelation. And I feel that his part was this historical part about the decline of nations. You know, the rise and fall of nations. Because by that time, you know, they have not only Babylon, they have Persia, they have Egypt. They have a lot of, things that they have seen. And so now they're living during the Roman period. And so it seems like this is possibly a Christian group that's studying the rise and fall of nations. And it's talking about Rome, but it's using Babylon, because they can clearly, this is what happened to Babylon. And the historians know all what happened. Of course, I'm not sure of this, but I'm just imagining, this part. And I'll start with Revelation 18. After this, I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was made right or bright with its splendor. He called out with a mighty voice, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, and it has become a dwelling place of demons and a haunt of every foul spirit and a haunt of every foul bird and a haunt of every foul and hateful beast." Of course, this is talking about the human beings in this society, whether it was Babylon, but during their time it was Rome. And this, they could see it all. The Roman orgies, the Roman, I think out of all the ancient societies, the Romans was more loose and reckless, and promiscuous than anybody, than any people of those days. Everybody else had a few little rules and regulations, which they had too. The wealthy and the powerful didn't pay no attention to them. So it said, and the nations have drank the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Of course, this is association and this is business, you know, and what have you. And fornication is fornication. So everybody that had relations with her, just like the world has had relations with America. And before it was the British Empire. Just 100 years ago at this time, the British Empire was just headed down. And World War II popped it up and brought it right down. So this drunk is intoxication with power. When you look at whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's the poor fellow right now, Biden, both of them look like and act like drunks. I don't know if you remember, we was having a meeting or something. It was several years ago. I said, man, the way Donald Trump is talking, he's here to bring down the whole Republican Party. And then I stopped and I said, he's here to bring down the United States of America. You know, I don't know, I think he was president.
I was president.
But I said, this boy here, because he had just had a chit-chat talking about Slowpoke, Bush, the one that was a governor down there. One of the Bush, Jeb Bush, that he's slow and dumb and all that.
Right.
And none of the big Republicans from those days was with him. You know, George wasn't going to be with him because that's his brother and all, but he won. And he was successful in bringing down the United States of America. But what he's done, and he talked about running again, and there's no way around it. The United States is in trouble. But what they did to everybody else called disunity, disharmony, and destabilize, now someone in their own crew, because nobody from the outside could do it. It had to be one of their own inside people. And he had to be so arrogant and so stupid that he would do that. You know, where the average American politician would not do that. Just like they wouldn't challenge an election. They might hold off a day or so, but they wouldn't have you raid Congress. Not one of the people that is a lying, stealing, crooked American. You know, the Senate, the senator, you know, they wouldn't do that. They do everything else, but they wouldn't do that. And so he's put in power, he's put in power for just what he's doing. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her my people, so that you do not take part in her sins and her plagues. It don't make no difference what you're talking about. But for every war that they've been in, some of the recent wars, the death rate from people coming back here is bigger than the war they was fighting, you know. And they say, well, this is last year, 22 Americans are dying a day from sadness or overburden, you know what I mean, this post-traumatic stress and all that stuff. But this talks about plagues. Okay, so if we would just talk about plagues in general, we got coronavirus, monkey, now the monkey virus, and all that stuff. There are also signs, which we talked about Friday. Ain't nobody paying no attention. Might as well not happen. For her sins have heaped high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities, and rendered to herself, and rendered and repaid her double for her deeds. So this is asking that they get paid double for what they've done to the rest of the world, and for not listening to the saints, and not listening to the prophets, and not listening to the wise people, because that group of people came to all people at all periods. And she glorified herself and lived in luxury, and so give her the lack, a measure of torment and grief. Since in her heart she says, I rule as a queen, and I am no widow, and I will never see grief. That's the way a boss man is acting. Exceptionalism, is it getting a little chilly in here? Or it's just right? Okay, so this person is, it's like the queen is talking. I'm saying the queen or the king, we're not going to see no grief. We haven't seen grief before. We're not going to see any grief. We got a plan hooked up. And everybody can see it ain't working. But just the emperor with no clothes and all of that. When you get blind, and I was around people that felt like that, you know. So-called when you get big, you be around that crowd and that group. And a certain mentality kicks in. Because you can become a real capitalist. And when I got started, I was all for the people and everything, but I hit a slick spot that lasted only 6 months, something like that. But I didn't get it heavy, but I know what it is. You know, when you get powerful and arrogant, and all of those things are normal for you to feel. These are normal for a system. It's normal for Bezos. It's normal for all of these guys to feel they have no feeling for humanity. So they'll jump on a rocket ship and go out, and the people are starving to death. Because technically they think if you starve to death, you deserve to starve to death. It's brutal how people can think, you know. But they think that way. And the bigger they get or the higher they get, it becomes solid, sealed in concrete thinking. The whole class thinks like that. That whole group thinks like that. So this crew got a drink, and I saw, when I saw her, I was greatly amazed. But the angel said to me, why are you so amazed? I will tell you the mystery of the woman of the beast, 7 heads. Excuse me, I was going back a little bit. For her sins have heaped high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities, and to her she herself has rendered, and repay her double for her deeds. Mix a double draught for her in the cup she mixed. And she glorified herself and lived in luxury. So give her like measure of torment and grief. Since in her heart she says, I rule as a queen, and I am no widow, and I will never see grief. Too big, America. Exceptionalism.
Right.
Oh, Britain, yeah. Oh, Persians, Babylonians, yeah. Not us. We're Americans. We're special. We're exceptional. Of course, that's what everybody thought at the time. We got so much going on. How can this thing not happen? Even when it's happening in front of their face, they can't believe it. That's what assures their decline. See, these are the rules of human history. And remember, in human history, only one group of people saw the truth and they repented. And Allah saved them for a time, it says in the Quran. People of Nineveh. Okay. Okay. So give her a torment. I will never see grief. And therefore, her plagues came in a single day. Now let's talk about a single day. It talks about 1 hour. That means that people didn't pay attention to the signs. And then when they looked up, it was crumbling down. Now for us, we see all the signs, and we're trying to make estimates and guesstimates about how much time is left and what have you. But we see the signs, and they're serious. And for most of us, I think it's improving our behavior. You know, it's improving our behavior. But the dummies, and I hate to mention the people as dummies because people do follow the leader and the system, and I will never see grief. So pestilence and mourning and famine, and she will be burned with fire. And for mighty is the Lord God who judges her. And the kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived in luxury with her weep and wail, oh, when they see the smoke of her burning. They will stand afar off in fear of her torment and say, alas, alas, the great city of Babylon, the mighty city. Okay, so the people that do business with America, you see that the Europeans, NATO, still doing whatever the U.S. tell it, although it's to their own harm. They're telling, they're not going to keep doing it, I mean. Because if we as Americans are hurting, and we got big oil here, and imagine the people of Europe. Their inflation is over 10%, ours is under. Not a whole lot of difference. But we see those signs, everybody else sees those signs too. But they use like words like recession, depression, not depression, just recession and little fall back, but not a collapse. Except the big people in finance and everything, they said, this is it. Said that the currency is going to dip and fall and it's going to collapse. And when it collapsed, with people being as unruly as they are now, they're laughing at America now. But all the students and snitches in Central America and all over the world has been fornicating, doing business, and effing with America. They people gonna be looking at them too. And they're gonna be weeping and wailing, and I want you to imagine the fall of America and the Zionists. All of the UN votes, 120 in the US say you can't do it. And, but imagine when the US crumbles. Now the Zionists are trying to make it allies all along, but that's not going to hold. It ain't going to hold because like the US, the Zionists are worse than the Americans.
Right.
Because the Zionists right now, those are people that have been bitten by the taste of riba, you know, when it talks about that, and it runs you crazy. The Zionists are crazy. The Zionists are worse than the Americans. Okay. So the kings who committed fornication and lived in luxury with her, that's all the stooges that followed the American line. With her, they're going to weep and wail when they see the smoke. They're doing it already. When the countries around the world see U.S. running all around and they laughing at them, right? And, okay. Now this is going to be, in those days it was a gold standard